Welcome along to Shanghai, ladies and gentlemen, where it's Chinese Grand Prix weekend. But before we can race, we need to qualify. And who's going to take that coveted pole position? How will our grid line up? We're about to find out. Welcome to qualifying.
Okay, radio check, radio check. We've been pushed down to P17. We've been pushed down to P22.
And that's it for sprint qualifying. Plenty more coming up over the rest of the weekend. So we'll see you all tomorrow. Forget pit stops. Forget fuel management. It's pedal to the metal all the way here as we get ready for today's sprint. Shanghai International Circuit then is a 16-corner high-speed thrill ride. The long and ever-tightening right-hander at turns 1 and 2 tests a driver's patience. And the flats, open to the elements location, test their skill in a crosswind. 2 DRS zones will assist passing, and they're available into turn 1 and down the kilometre-long back straight into turn 14. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting sprint. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position. Edging out Lando Norris, who'll start from P2. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Russell, Leclerc, Oscar Piastri and Tsunoda, Hamilton, Sainz, Antonelli and Esteban Ocon, Gasly, Lawson, Lance Stroll and Hülkenberg, Doohan, Bortoletto, Isaac Hadjar and Alex Albon, Behrman, Fernando Alonso, Pierce and Sonny Hayes rounds off the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head trackside for today's sprint. And alongside me here today in the commentary box, Anthony Davidson. Well, they say that a change is as good as a rest, and whilst there's not much rest on show in the sprint format today, there's definitely a change to what we're usually seeing on the track. Now, I'll be generous here. It's not that long ago that you were racing and entertaining us on a Sunday, but in the years since, the sport has changed quite a bit, hasn't it?
Yeah, it really has, Crofty. You know, the cars have got bigger, they're heavier, but critically, there's more downforce to play with as well now. There was about 4 tons of downforce on the car at 300 kilometres an hour when I drove. You're now looking more towards 5 tons of downforce. So there's a big difference in performance. But because of that, the car being heavier and bigger, you've got to drive in a smoother way. You've got to look after it a bit more. You've got to nurse it through the slow speed corners more. They were much more nimble, agile machines when I drove in Formula 1 compared to now.
All right, give me a quick radio check, please. Radio check. Okay, let's try not to worry about being down here at the back. You've got the speed, you've got the car, so just take it easy and the race will come to you. Okay, we think the underbody's incurred some slight damage, but nothing too serious at the moment. Just be careful. You might experience some understeer now that you're in the wake of the car ahead. Try to get past as soon as possible. Keep on him, he might make a mistake. And that's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Fermé.
So that wraps up the sprint race, but there's still more action yet to come this weekend. We've got qualifying and, of course, the Grand Prix. Welcome along to Shanghai, ladies and gentlemen, where it's Chinese Grand Prix weekend. But before we can race, we need to qualify. And who's going to take that coveted pole position? How will our grid line up? We're about to find out. Welcome to qualifying.
Okay, radio check, radio check. I'm afraid we've dropped to P22. P22. Intermediate tyres are your best bet in the current conditions.
The Chinese Grand Prix then is upon us once again. It's a race that saw Michael Schumacher claim his final Formula One victory in 2006, as well as Red Bull's first win with Sebastian Vettel in 2009. There's no doubt there's plenty more drama to come here in Shanghai. We're here in the Yangtze River Delta today, home of the 16 corners that make up the Shanghai International Circuit. 54% of this 3.3-mile lap is taken at full throttle, and we'll be getting up to speeds of around 200 miles per hour with DRS assistance down the back straight, before the cars brake into the tight hairpin at turn 14. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position, with Charles Leclerc alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Norris, Hamilton, George Russell and Tsunoda, Pierce, Gasly, Stroll and Nico Hülkenberg, Hadjar, Sainz, Fernando Alonso and Albon, Ocon, Lawson, Oscar Piastri and Andrea Kimi Antonelli, Behrman, Hayes, Doohan and Gabriel Bortoleto rounds off the grid. Now it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track. And alongside me today is a man who needs no introduction, but I'll try anyway. It's Ant Davidson. And let's talk momentum with this driver. What a sprint it was. They start at 0 once again for today, but with a huge amount of confidence, surely. Well, they'll definitely be glad that there's not a sprint race today. Let's face it, the sprint couldn't have gone much worse, but what we're looking for today is a reaction. I know what we've got to do before the start of today's race, but what about our driver? What do the final hours look like for them?
Well, for them, you've got your pre-race rituals that you go through. You see different drivers that, some have got their headphones on, they're listening to the music. Some drivers really absorb the energy from the crowd, and they're there waving to them. Other drivers, they go within themselves. They chat to their engineers, absorbing that information, that vital information that you need to carry you through the race. And, you know, those pre-race rituals are essential to making things systematic. We do a lot of Grand Prix in a season, and the more systematic you can be, the easier you are within that environment.
All right, let's have a quick radio check, please. Radio check. Okay, mate, I know it's not a great position to be starting on the grid, and it also puts us slap bang in the middle of the danger zone where risk is high. So be careful, pick your battles, and let's see if we can pick a few positions off along the way. DRS now enabled. DRS enabled. Tyre condition still looking good. tyre wear's higher than we're expecting. We've got a new strategy available on your MFD if you want it. Understood, copy that. Right, the gap to the teammate ahead of us, 10.9 seconds. Green flag. Joshua's coming in for his stop. Okay, we're boxing this lap. Give us the best in lap you can. Up to speed now, let's get some heat into those tyres. Bortoletto stopping now. Keep on him, he might make a mistake. Okay, final lap, let's go, final lap. All right, race over, take care of the car on the way in.
It's another victory and a champion's performance from Max Verstappen.
And that's 2 wins in a row now. It's the start of potentially something special, but they can't get ahead of themselves just yet. It's a long way to go.
We had drama from start to finish, but in the end, there was only ever one that could take that top spot. And for those that have missed the Dutch national anthem, fear not. It's back again because Max Verstappen is back on the top step. It's been an absolutely wild weekend of Formula One action, and I can't wait to see what's next.